Hi everyone. For this week's virtual field trip, we're going to be going out to the high school, and there we're going to take a look at the greenhouse, where Mr. Hall's been doing a whole lot of work, and most of you guys will remember Mr. Hall from elementary school. So let's go and have some fun and see what he's got going on.
Hi guys, miss you a lot. Come on in and we'll look at the greenhouse and I'll show you a few things about it. Come on in.
Everyone.
Okay, as you'll see, everybody in here is sweating. So normally, I'm gonna come over here to the camera. Normally we have this fan on the side. I can turn it off and on because it's kind of loud. What that fan does is it draws air from the opposite end of the building, and you can see the louvered windows. It has louvers that come open. They come open like this, okay? And it draws air through there, through the greenhouse, and out that when it gets too warm in here. And it's on a thermostat, so if I set it at 70 degrees, that fan will come on and it'll start drawing air through. The bottom here, the floor, or here would be the ground, because underneath this is dirt, but you'll see all this rock. Now this rock was in here when I first came, but it has a purpose. It keeps heat in the wintertime, so when the sun's shining through the walls, it shines onto these rocks and warms them up and keeps heat in here, so it doesn't get so cold for when you have plants in here when there's snow on the ground outside. Yeah, and then if you'll see the walls, you can see that it's really light in here, and you can kind of see outside the walls. They're a little bit opaque. These are plastic walls in the greenhouse, and it surrounds a framework, a metal framework, and that lets the light in year-round, all day long, and that's how you grow plants in a greenhouse. Now, a lot of you from elementary were asking me when it was snowing out, when are we going to plant? Well, and I was telling them that we can't plant right now because there's snow out. Plants like this don't grow outside in the wintertime. So they only grow in the summer, and then they die off, and then next year you have to plant more plants. Now there's some plants, like this one here. This is a rosemary. This is called a perennial. A perennial plant, well, a perennial plant grows year-round. If you keep it inside, it'll grow year-round. Some perennial plants that we have here that are used to the area go into a type of dormancy. They go to sleep during the winter, and then they come back and get green and stuff in the springtime. These plants, these are annuals. So when you go to like Walmart, and that's what I did, I went to Walmart and bought these flowers. That's only for the summertime. So you plant them, they need water too, they're pretty dry. You plant them in the springtime and they grow lots and lots of flowers, and then you can bring them in, and if your house is warm and you water them, they should last all year round. They get kind of spindly and ugly, and then come on in, and I'll show you some of these different kinds of plants, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing here in the greenhouse. Okay, these great big old buckets, these are called lick buckets, and when ranchers use them for their cows, and when they get them, they have all these minerals on the inside about this thickness that the cows go up and they lick, and it helps them keep good health. And then when the ranchers are done with them, they have all these used lick buckets that they don't know what to do with. So I have these. I've drilled a hole 5 inches up from the bottom on the side. And then underneath this fabric, this is called ground cover, underneath it are those great big number 10 cans like we use in a, like the cooks use in, I've got some over here. Showing that bag right there. Those cans in that bag. So that's where your fruit and your vegetables come for when you have school lunches. And you put those on their side in the bottom of it, and lay ground cover over the top and then put dirt in it, what that does is when I fill this up, there you go, you can show the, there you go. Yeah, that's the number 10 can. And so on the lick bucket, I can put water down through here, and it fills up the bottom up to this hole. And then when I plant plants in here and they grow their roots down in, they'll grow through this ground cover and into the water. But if you have ever planted a plant where you've watered it and it's like and it gets yellow and ugly and dies, it's probably because the roots drowned. They didn't have any air down there. And so we want that little air space between the water and the bottom of the dirt so the roots won't drown. So I want to give these away to people to be able to have their own little garden, and it's filled with really good dirt, so you know you can plant just about anything in it. So I have all sorts of plants planted here. There's watermelon and there's squash, and this here is dill. They put it in pickles, smells really good. I'm not sure what this is, I forget what that is, but it smells good. There's tomatoes, lots of tomatoes, and a lot of these tomatoes have tomatoes ready to be picked on them. And I don't know what's wrong with those down there, but most of them I planted these as seed in about February, and they grew little plants and put them in here, and now they're growing out. Pretty soon I'll have to put these racks that we see up here that Mr. Hager had over the top of them, because they'll grow as high as the greenhouse. And as long as they're in here this winter, we'll have tomatoes in the greenhouse when there's snow on the ground and everybody's gardens have died off. So, and there's okra and broccoli. I'm sure you guys all like that. And onions and garlic. And this is just the regular garlic you can buy from the store. You break it up into its pieces and you plant them, and each piece grows a new whole garlic. And more watermelon and more squash and zucchini and flowers and more tomatoes. You can come on in, there's more over this way. So we want to give all these plants away, but I gotta be able to get the irrigation going on the garden down at the mission. So that's what I'm working on right now. What else? We have beets. These are beets like here. You plant that and you get a big red beet that you can pickle. There are peppers. So these are like super hot pepper plants. They're really tiny, so probably won't be given out this year. We'll keep them in here and grow them big for next year. And here's what I was talking about with the flowers. So flowers are an annual plant. They die off in the fall, and that's it. Then you gotta get new ones or plant new seed the next spring. Well, these are from last year, and the reason that they're doing so well is because it's nice and warm in here in the greenhouse. But I brought them in. Some of you might have seen them in in my classroom over the winter. So when there was snow out on the playground, we couldn't go out play. These flowers are doing great inside my classroom. Rhonda McCabe gave me this plant. Says it's not doing very well for me. Look at that. It's got a whole bunch of new leaves and stuff. Gets water, gets plenty of sunshine. It's really warm in here. And these plants here, these are, what are they? They're garbanzo beans. You use them in your salads and stuff. I got them from Walmart in the bean aisle, and not the garden bean aisle with where you buy your grain and stuff. And I tried planting them, and they work. So, what else?
What did you say you had? Mint?
Mint. So this big area over here, I know mint is you make tea out of it, and I know they use it medicinally out here. All of this is mint. I don't water it. It just grows like that. It has something, you know, must tap into the groundwater or something. But it has really nice smell to it. You know, rub it between your hands. And, whoa, it smells good. And it's starting to go to seed. It's creating flowers and making more seed. You take that, once it's dried, and plant it, more will grow. You can take a big chunk of mint, plant it in the ground, and as long as it has water, it'll grow a new plant. It's kind of like a weed. It'll grow everywhere. I tilled some into my garden. Now it grows everywhere. So, let's see. Got extra buckets here. These buckets are on a rail. I drilled a hole in the bottom, and you put what's called a basket in the bottom. It's like a little laundry basket. It's only tiny. And you put your dirt in there and then set it on this rail, and it sucks up water from the bottom up into the plant. Spider going on in here. I do have spiders in here, but that's all right. They eat the little bugs, the ones we don't want. So in here you wonder where the water comes from. So we have a water spigot on the outside, and you'll see where these hoses come up. I have a little valve right here. Crack it about halfway because I don't want to drown the plants. And I gotta find the end of the hose. It's right over here, I think. And then we go around and we hand water everything. Ta-da! It's kind of hot, so yeah, finally. And then it's kind of coming out a little hard, so I'll turn it down a little bit. And then it's just basically watering like this. And you go around, you water everything. And then you might go around and water it twice. Right now, that just sits on top.
I wouldn't blame you if you got a little on yourself. It's so hot in here. I think it would feel good.
Yeah, it does feel good. Okay. We have green peppers over here because I've got a plant with a green pepper on it. Over there, and can you see it?
Oh yeah, there's a big one. Let's see if I can.
And I think that's just a like a sweet pepper.
Nice.
But yeah, they've got to get in the ground because they're starting to turn yellow, and once it gets to a certain point, I won't be able to correct that by replanting it. So that's why I'm working on this irrigation. That's water, the application of water to whatever you're growing, whether it be hay or watermelons or pumpkins or just regular plants. Irrigation is where it's at. And it's not a little hose like this. It's a great big old pipe that I have down there at the church, or behind the church, behind the parish hall. And you see a lot of these plants like this are droopy. That means they're telling me, we need water. We're dying of thirst. And then a little while later, they'll perk back up.
All right, here we are, just to give you guys an idea of what the temperature is in here. The thermometer's maxed out. So we're well over 100 degrees. You look at the middle column there, the Fahrenheit, and it is, looks like we're almost 120 degrees. So it's nice and hot in here. It's actually turned the camera off twice because of overheating.